Hello and welcome to a brand new show. This is Under Review with Ethan Birch and Jeremy Goldstein. Under Review, meet vic.org. Under Review is on its 6th episode, recently on YouTube and Spotify. Yes, it will still be on YouTube and Spotify, but for now airing 10 to 10:30 here on vic.org at the Ithaca College radio station. Once again, this is your co-host Ethan Birch and other co-host Jeremy Goldstein. Jeremy, how are we?
I'm still a little exhausted from that Yankees-Indians series. It's taken a toll not only on my mental health, but my sleep schedule. But we're recovering and I'm ready to talk sports for the next half hour.
It is definitely a great series. We have a lot to talk about. So just to preview what Under Review actually is, me and Jeremy will be putting a topic, a statement most likely, such as we'll throw it back to what episode 1 was, and it was the White Sox are World Series contenders. One of us will uphold, one of us will reject, and we will debate it. So it's mostly a debating kind of show. So both of us are very, very excited to get into it. So without further ado, let's jump into the news part. We start off with basic news and discussion. So let's talk NBA Finals. Game 1 went to the Lakers in domination. Do the Heat at this point have any chance, Jeremy?
No, and I'll tell you why. I'm not disrespecting the Heat, and I'm not disrespecting the progress they've made. They've played a really good They played really good productive basketball in the playoffs in this bubble as a whole. But when you have Bam Adebayo and Goran Dragic suffering injuries, they're both ruled out for game 2, and you have Jimmy Butler who's clearly playing through injury, you're not at your best. And those are pretty much your 3 core guys that are going to provide the most scoring for you. Tyler Hero had a minus 35, I think, last night, so even he wasn't effective against the Lakers. So despite with all these injuries, and clearly I think the Lakers are just the better and well-run team. The Heat have years for years to come, they're going to be contenders, but I don't think this is their season, unfortunately, to win it all.
As an underdog, they snuck into the finals, to say the least. They weren't expected to win, but obviously you said they played very respectable basketball, and they were very good, but this Lakers team is just so much more talented, so much more better, and there's no real way around that. They have the 2 best players in the league, probably, and Anthony Davis and LeBron James, and just those 2 guys are making everyone else on the court just better. KCP and Danny Green played well. They combined for 24 points, better than what they've been doing all playoffs, to be honest. They both haven't played up to par recently, but they get the job done in game 1 of the finals, and word got it that Goran Dragic isn't returning to the finals. Do we know yet?
He might be returning later in the series. I think it depends on how far he goes. But even if he does return, Ethan, that's a bad foot injury he suffered. It's definitely it's going to keep him out for a couple of games. So even if he does return, even if it's in game 7, if it even gets that far, which I really don't think it will, he's not going to be the Goran Dragic he'd have gotten all season. So at what point does it become worth it, and when does it become not worth it to have a guy come in? Because if you play hurt, you could be hurting your team if you're not 100%. So I think the Heat are just they really just became a mess at the worst time. But if you're a Heat fan, I know the series does not look bright, but you should definitely be really proud of where your team is right now, because they've really shown that they have a bright future ahead.
Oh, no doubt. And the series is not over by any means. It's only 1-0.
I think
but
it is, yeah.
But yes, of course, you have that in the back of your mind that this is the Lakers. This is LeBron James. He's hunting number 4, and he's on a mission. He plays like he's on a mission, and him and Anthony Davis are just borderline unstoppable. But regardless, shout out to the Heat for a great season. They took the East as underdogs. Nothing else to say. Great job by the Heat. So let's move on. Me and Jeremy are actually both big Giants fans. So every week we'll be previewing the Giants game, even though it's not looking too bright.
Oh, boy.
No. So as we head into week 4, the Giants stand at 0-3 after the worst possible loss they could have put together against a beat-up San Francisco 49ers team. Jeremy, let's talk about what are their odds this week. I prefer not even to mention last week. They're playing in LA against the Rams. Do the Giants have a shot of putting together their first win of the season?
I mean, probably not. The Rams are a good offensive and defensive team. They're just they're not insanely good at one category. They're just very balanced and productive on both sides. I know Cam Akers is out, but Malcolm Brown and Darrell Henderson will be a good running back duo. And the Giants, there's 3 problems that I can identify. One, clueless penalties. When the Giants were able to tie the game at 6-6, when they were playing good defense in that first half, they had the Niners on 3rd and 22. and Darnay Holmes had a stupid illegal contact penalty. They gave him an automatic first down and they ended up scoring a touchdown. The second problem is they don't score touchdowns offensively. Daniel Jones, he has flashes of good play, and I appreciate that, but he often can't finish a drive. And my third concern is I think it's time of possession. Last game, the Giants only had 7 minutes of on-field time with the offense. 7 minutes in the first half. You're going to tire out your defense. The defense played so well in that first half, but by the time the second half came around, they were gassed. So if you can stay on the field and score, you provide opportunity for your team to succeed. But right now, I think this is a new team. And while I'm not close to ready to give up on the coaching staff, they need to really get this team's chemistry together because that's how they're going to start winning football games.
I couldn't agree anymore. It's just a mess right now. You know, the offense came in locked and loaded this year. So many guys to throw to for Jones. He's got one of the best running backs in football to hand the ball off to, and all of a sudden everything collapses. And now you borderline have a running game. And Daniel Jones hasn't, he's, as you said, he has flashes of being very good, but the turning over of the football is just atrocious, getting stripped, losing the football in the pocket. And then some of the he throws some beautiful footballs, and then he just throws the worst footballs. And he needs to figure out what kind of quarterback he really is. Because he can run the ball very well too. We've seen him. He ran very well last week. Mm-hmm. It's just the flashes of bad and good the ratio isn't adding up for the New York Giants. And against a team like the Rams, there's small room for error.
Well, here's the deal with Jones. I think this season, I know it's been a small sample size of 3 games, and who knows how long the season's going to last. I know the Titans are struggling with COVID right now, but I think Jones's fumble ability, or his fumble problem, has improved. He's sort of been getting around in the pocket a lot better and turning it into scrambles, but the interceptions, it seems like more of a problem for him this season so far. I know it's still early, but against the Niners, the end of that first half, he had a bad interception against the Steelers, the Bears. I think sometimes he just wants to get rid of it, and he
needs to learn to control himself because he gets rid of the ball a lot quicker than most quarterbacks. And sometimes he feels rushed sometimes.
And sometimes you feel like his receiver will make a play when, like, he threw it right to the Niners linebacker last week.
Uh-huh.
The receiver was behind him.
No excuses.
I understand, like, the offensive line is really struggling. The receivers, you don't have Sterling Shepard right now, who's been a solid number 1 for a couple of years. There's a lot going wrong with the Giants, but if Daniel Jones wants to prove, because I think the leash might be short, because the Giants want to improve now, they want to win now. Gettleman's has a seat, he's on the hot seat. So if Daniel Jones wants to prove that he's going to be the guy for the next decade plus, he needs to be smart with what he has and just not try to do too much.
There's really no way around that, because now without pretty much a struggling running game, with now Dion Lewis and Devontae Freeman back there. Freeman barely played, but I'm sure his workload will increase as it goes. But Daniel Jones is going to really need to step it up for the Giants to win a couple games this year. If not, we'll be sitting at another
4-win season.
We'll be our most exciting night of the year. Will be draft day again. So, but anyway, the Giants. My prediction. We'll make our picks this week. I don't think we have yet.
Yeah, well, they'll be on the Instagram soon. We'll the Instagram is @under_review VIC. It's a very tough. It's a tongue twister.
That's a tongue twister without a doubt. And so let's move on. Before we move on, my predictions. I was going to say this is the first week I will not be taking the Giants because I'm actually trying to beat you, Jeremy. Now I have taken the Giants all 3 weeks.
I haven't calculated the record yet.
I said I was going to do it, but I'm just going to take the Rams.
I took the Niners last week. I was smart, and I'm definitely taking the Rams this week. I'm in a survivor pool that I do for fun. If like, obviously it's for fun. It's a for fun thing. I picked the Rams week 2. If I still had them this week, I would have absolutely used them.
Who's the pick of the week? I got the Jets.
No, see, I would have if they had Driscoll still playing, even though it's him, but with a new quarterback, like, at least the Jets have a quarterback who's played before. That Thursday night game is going to come down to who's worse.
It really is. These Thursday night games got brutal.
But my pick of the week is the Saints over the Lions. That's my.
I'm actually in a survival pool too. It's 2 strikes though. Last year,
mine's 2 strikes as well.
My dad runs it. Last year, me and my dad were the only 2 guys left, and he beat me.
Well, my uncle runs mine, so
Yeah, so
family members
I
run
took the
our
I took
schools.
the loss week 1. I picked the Eagles over the
Really?
Washington Redskins.
I
So
had the
just a big pick.
Raiders. I had the Raiders over the Panthers week 1.
Mhm.
I had the Rams over the Eagles week 2. I got the Bucks over the Broncos week 3, and now I'm 3-0. I have the Saints over the Lions week 4. I never like going with the upset pick. I
Oh
mean, not the
no,
upset. I
no.
never like going with the big pick, like
Oh,
the
okay.
obvious one.
Yeah, so I mean last year was a lot easier because you just picked any team that was either playing against the Bengals or the Dolphins.
Okay, we're gonna get into baseball soon, but last point. Last season when I did this, I lost week 1 pretty much, and I just ended up giving up because the Lions tied.
Oh yeah, that's not a win. Yeah, you're right. That happened last week with the Eagles and the
Yeah,
Bengals.
and
You're a victim. It's not a win. You're out.
exactly.
All right, so let's move on to baseball. We'll get to our topic of discussion in just probably around 5 minutes, but let's talk about a little bit what's going on. We'll actually probably stick with New York just because the shortest of time. These aren't hour-long episodes; they're just 30. So you're just listening to us from 10 to 10:30. So let's recap the Yankees and Indians. Oh, what a series between those two guys. I know Jeremy was
PTSD.
stressed all week because of it, but the Yankees pulled out 2 incredible wins, an unlikely offensive explosion against Shane Bieber, the Triple Crown, most likely Cy Young, maybe even MVP of the AL. A classic start to the game. LeMahieu pokes one into right, and Judge rips a home run over the right center fence
Mm-hmm.
on a fastball right down Main Street. It was just the beginning for the Yankees. Cole had the best start as an AL pitcher in playoff history. He's the first player to ever strike out 13 without walking one batter in an AL playoff game, something that is crazy to hear has never happened. But
And
Jeremy, I know you're geeking to tell me. Let me hear it.
the funny thing about that Cole start is in game 2, the Yankees and Indians broke a playoff record or tied a playoff record for most
Yeah.
walks in a game. There were 19 walks.
19. I saw that's
Game
the first
one,
time
game
since
one was really
1950.
fun. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for interrupting or speaking
No,
over
you're
each
good. You're
other.
good. Keep going.
Game 1 was a slugfest of no stress whatsoever. And the Yankees 4 pitches in, you're up 2-0, and basically they didn't look back. The Yankees never trailed the whole game pretty much, and that was nice. Game 2, oh my goodness. It's long story short. Look, I know you felt differently than me. I was really upset with how the MLB handled the weather.
Mhm.
They basically so the game started was supposed to start at 7,
Just to push
50
it back.
50-minute delay. Nothing happens on there's no rain. And then when they start playing, Carrasco comes on, gets the Yankees 1-2-3. And then when Tanaka comes on, it starts torrentially downpouring. Like really bad winds are really strong. Rain is going wild. And Tanaka clearly can't get his best stuff, and he gives up a run. And so I was a little upset about
Listen,
that. And then
it's disappointing, but at the end of the day, obviously the delay didn't come through, but the Major League
but
Baseball
the
didn't
MLB, they have to
control
be better about
torrential
that.
downpour as soon as yes.
They
Okay.
have to be better about
In a
that.
way, yes, you're right. They have to be better, but it's not the MLB's fault that it started torrentially downpouring
But they
as
had it on the
soon as
radar
Tanaka stepped
on my
into the
weather
rubber.
app. On my weather app, it's literally said rain for the next 2 hours, and they just decided to play. I didn't get it. They put on the tarp 5 minutes after that.
I know the tarp was only on for like 10 minutes too.
So yeah, after that, Taka comes back. Clearly, he wasn't ramped up, and he gave up 3 more. And I literally thought it was going to be game 3 or whatever. Stanton comes up with a clutch home run. Stanton homers, and then Yankees get. Thank you to Lionel DeShields, because I don't think the Yankees win that game without his slip in center field that allowed Aaron Hicks to hit a triple. They get the bases loaded for Gio Urshela with no one out, and they bring in the rookie stud James Karinchak in his first postseason appearance. And you can tell this guy's like bobbling the baseball. He's
nervous.
He can't settle in. Can't settle in. This guy throws heat. They compare him to Mo Vaughn from that baseball movie where the guy throws heat, whatever Wild Thing, the Charlie Sheen's character actor. I can't remember the movie for some reason. And Gio Urshela, this is the moment I want. If you're gonna take one thing away from this episode, this is the greatest baseball moment. I was studying this. So basically, Urshela takes a fastball strike. I think it's 4 straight breaking balls from Karinchak, and Karinchak's a fastball pitcher. 3 of them, he was able to take one of them. He couldn't hold it up. 3-2. Urshela he's sitting fastball because that's Karinchak's best pitch, and he couldn't throw a strike. So I think Urshela knew, look, he's going to go for the strike. Rips the left field grand slam. I mean, just a bounce back game. The Yankees were trailing. The bullpen wasn't there, but then Gio Urshela saves more runs in that bottom of the 8th inning. Diving double play, stellar. He's the MVP of the game.
Play of the week by Gio Urshela. Insane play. He had himself a night in a stadium where he was traded away from just 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Revenge tour by Gio Urshela.
Yeah, and then the Yankees got him from the Blue Jays for cash considerations, $25,000.
Think about that.
And then Brad Hand, so Yankees down 9-8. Brad Hand comes into the game, has 16 for 16 on saves all year, walks Stanton. Urshela on an 0-2 pokes a single up the middle, like poked it. Like Gleyber Torres, chopper to Brad Hand, he can't handle it, and then it jumps off the mound, and then he gets that was ridiculous.
Borderline bases loaded, no one
break.
out.
Gardner strikes out, and then I got really nervous because Sanchez strikes out in these situations all the time, and he had a big home run earlier.
At bat of the night,
didn't try to be the hero, just got the ball in the air, got the man home, got Talkman, who was pinch running home, and then LeMahieu, as Barstool Eric Cubs likes to say, death, taxes, and DJ LeMahieu with runners in scoring position. Like, incredible game. Yankees win.
Alex Rodriguez said if Aaron Boone could handpick one batter to hit in that situation, it's DJ LeMahieu. And DJ LeMahieu comes up 0-2 swinging, ground ball up the middle, drives home the run. Also, Chapman looked very good. 2 innings, 4 strikeouts. He looked awesome in the ninth.
That was satisfying. Yeah.
Very satisfying by Aroldis Chapman. Yankees are swinging into the next series with momentum, as we will swing into our topic of discussion. Under review today is the Tampa Bay Rays will be moving on to the ALCS. And personally, I will uphold
ALDS, but yes.
Well, no, the ALCS. Whoever wins it. This is the
ALCS. Yeah. I thought you said they're playing ALCS. My bad.
Okay, no, you're good. So what is your ruling on the field?
I'm going to say the Yankees end up moving on. And I'll let – do you want me to start?
Yeah, give an opening statement. Give an opening statement.
The Rays could absolutely win the series, but I know the Rays had the 8-2 chokehold all on the Yankees during regular season. But keep in mind, the Yankees have had their hot streaks during the regular season, but never like this. Like, they came out against a Cy Young pitcher, offensive explosion, not implosion. I'm sorry. And then I think that comeback 2 nights ago was the best comeback I'd ever seen from a Yankee team in 2 years.
Okay, well, not to mention a shooken up Cy Young winner who was very nervous in his first playoff game.
But
he came out. His manager said he was really nervous coming into this game, and he's facing a good lineup, but I mean, there's a lot of players in Major League Baseball that would have hit that 94-mile-an-hour fastball.
So you're blaming you're blaming the whole game on Shane Bieber being nervous and not the Yankees offense?
If Shane Bieber comes out confident and deals 7 shutout innings, then yes. But we aren't debating. We aren't debating the Indians for the Indians versus the Yankees. It's the Rays versus the Yankees, and that's why the Rays are the best team in the AL. There's no surrounding that point. Yes, the Yankees are coming in momentum, but so are the Rays. They just beat up the Blue Jays. And they deserve to play the Blue Jays. They put together a massive ring. It doesn't matter.
They started Matt Shoemaker. They put AJ Cole in the game.
The Indians? No, it doesn't matter. They deserved to play the Blue Jays. They're coming in momentum. They swept 2-0. They didn't make the series interesting at all. And now they're 2 teams colliding with momentum right now. And realistically, this goes to the better team. So let's break this down. Game 1. Already Garrett Cole got the nod.
Garrett Cole, is it going to be Blake Snell? I know Tyler Glasnow.
I think the Yankees will take Game 1. It's only a 5-game series. I think without a doubt the Yankees take Game 1. Garrett Cole in the playoffs is unreal. But so you have to start Garrett Cole regardless, because then you get him for Game 5 if it goes.
Yeah, exactly.
So then what we think from the Rays is
I don't even know if you even get him for Game 5, because I think it's 5 straight days of play.
It is, but he'd be on short rest, and they would still pitch him in Game 5.
Absolutely, yeah.
They'd ramp him up. They would have to.
So
you go down the line. So you go Snell versus Cole, most likely, unless they want to start with Morton, but at the end of the day, you also want Snell so you could get him for Game 5.
Here, as somebody who's watched Yankees-Rays all season, if the Rays are going to save a pitcher for the Yankees, it's Tyler Glasnow. Glasnow's dominated that lineup twice.
You think they go? I think they still go him too.
If they're gonna try to prevent any Garrett Cole victory, they're gonna use Glasnow, because Snell had one very good start against the Yankees, but Glasnow I think pitched 2 or 3 times against them and was very successful.
Yeah. Also, I kind of rather a righty face the Yankees lineup just because they're power hitters, but I still think up and down, this Rays starting pitching is just unbelievable. Led by Snell, you got Glasnow, Charlie Morton. Those are
Morton's
three
been
guys.
bad this season. He's been injured and on and off the
Well, he's
IL,
ready now.
and
He's
but he
been
hasn't been productive when he has
playoff.
played.
He's been in the playoffs before.
Right, but
He's been in this situation. He's pitched against the Yankees
let me
before.
express my problem, though.
He'll pitch game 3. All he needs to pitch is one game.
Listen, I know they've been solid throughout the regular season. You can't sit here and tell me that Pete Fairbanks and Ryan Thompson are going to carry a bullpen here against the Yankees lineup.
They have the best bullpen in Major League Baseball, Jeremy.
I don't believe the playoffs are a different animal.
The playoff.
Pete Fairbanks.
This is the best.
Ryan Thompson. They lost Beek. They
Anderson.
lost Alvarado.
Nick
Anderson's a stud.
Anderson's a stud. 5.5.
But you can't tell me with losing Jalen Beek, losing
Aaron
Jose
Luke,
Alvarado.
Diego Castillo.
They've also lost, what's his name? Chaz Rowe. They've lost Yanni Chirinos.
There's already 5 guys in this bullpen that I can name that will shut down the Yankees. Is 5 guys not enough?
The Yankees have hit Castillo. The Yankees have a very good track record on Diego Castillo.
Okay, still. They could get 5 guys that have been very good this season. Diego had a 1.66 ERA this year. That's nothing to mess around with when you need to get 3 outs in a playoff.
Guy walks a lot of batters, too.
Okay, so say if this series goes the Rays' way, like I'm predicting, like I'm debating,
and it very well could. I'm not saying it won't.
They can get 6 to 7 innings out of all 3 of their top guys in games 1 to 3. They go bullpen game in 4, even if they start Ryan Yarbrough. I don't know how to pronounce the last name.
Ryan Yarbrough?
Yarbrough, yeah, he's good. He's good. He's a good 4 guy.
Dominated him. Here's the key to the Yankees, though, and I'm sorry for interrupting. You can build off what I say because it relates to it. I think that's why I'm confident in the Yankees this series, because after seeing what they did to Bieber and Carrasco, I'm confident that they can.
Different animal. The Rays destroyed the Yankees this year. Destroyed. They went 8-2 against them.
Season is so different. In 2017,
is it that different though? Is it?
In 2018, during the regular season, when the Red Sox were the best team in the league by far, the Yankees had a very good regular season against the Red Sox. A very good regular season. They won the season series by a lot. And then the Red Sox came in and dominated them in the playoffs. Anything can change. I don't like using the regular season.
I understand that, but just going down track record, they destroyed the Yankees in the regular season. They actually borderline gave them a chance in half their games. This is the best pitching in baseball up and down. If you consider starting rotation and bullpen, those are the 2 best combinations
on paper. Yes. But I trust guys like Cole. I trust Tanaka. I trust Cole and Tanaka more than I would trust Snell and Glasnow in a playoff series. That's just how it goes. Because Cole and Tanaka have very good playoff ERAs, while Glasnow has pitched 1 game and lost that game. Give 5 runs to the Astros in Game 5 last year.
Can I tell you why Tanaka is not going to have a good series against the Rays?
Why because they've hit him well this year, and G-Man Choi, all that.
Not even that. The Rays hit baseballs much better when it's under 95 miles per hour. 3 out of the 4 guys starting in this playoffs for the Yankees throws under that. I know Devi Garcia sits 94, 95, but that's just around the average that the Rays can hit under.
Start a game.
Cole, that's why I think Cole will dominate. There's no doubt in my mind. Cole, in my opinion, will win game 1.
That's why they signed him. They need that.
Exactly.
Those games.
He's worth every penny when he pitches in October. They signed him for October, and they'll get his October money. Really. So, but those other guys, I just don't think they will fare.
Nice phone, by the way.
It's tough doing it on Zoom. But regardless, I just think that the Rays will jump this. They have guys that have just been so hot in the playoffs and coming off the regular season. The Rays get together a massive regular season, and they have depth up and down, pitching and hitting. So
at the same time, after a really up and down season, after that series, I really have a lot more trust in the Yankees offense.
No, and
my biggest concern, we cannot see Zach Britton like that anymore. And
the Yankees need to be stellar.
And it really says something. Ottavino is out of Aaron Boone's circle of trust. Because
the Yankees bullpen isn't as good as people thought coming in.
I know. I think losing Tommy Kahnle was really, really,
it hit him
really
hard.
painful. And I think if the Yankees are going to win the series, Boone is going to have to take a gamble on putting Adam Ottavino back into the rotation because he was somebody they relied on a lot, and then had a struggle a little bit this regular season. But I think when Jonathan Loaiza came into that game in the middle after Zach Britton and was garbage. He really almost choked
Not
that whole
good.
game for them.
He's kind of a good pitcher.
Loaiza's had good stints, but when he's not on, he is not on.
And that's where the Rays will hurt you, especially when they got starters going after each other, because the Yankees can get shut out realistically or held to 1 or 2 runs for 6 or 7 innings. And by the time, most likely, when you're not facing Cole, the pitcher's going to be out of the game at that point. And the Yankees can't afford to be having guys getting destroyed in a 5-game series. It's best of 5. This is way shorter than we think. I actually, at first, I thought this was a best of 7 because it felt like the division series was just happening, but that was actually the wild card. It's only 5 games. And when you got a team that has 3 dominant starters in the Rays, you got to give them the upper edge. I'm sorry.
Here's my question for you, though.
Okay.
If the Yankees, did I just lose my train of thought? Okay, here it is. If the Yankees are able to scratch 5 runs across, and they give it to if they can average 5 runs a game this series, do they end up winning?
Well, yeah, because that would be getting to their starting rotation. It seems like, right? I mean, 5 runs at the end of the game. Who are they scoring the runs? Are they jumping Snell in the second inning?
Here's another question. I think a big reason why the Yankees won the Indian series is because of the patience. I think one of the only ways the Yankees are going to need to take walks like they did the last 2 games if they want to win. Make these pitchers work. That was the mindset they went into with Shane Bieber.
It's different. Shane Bieber threw under 20% of his off-speed pitches for strikes. The Yankees knew that. They sat fastball. They let the curveballs go.
But when you have Tyler Glass now, who's going to start game 1 or 2, heavy curveball pitcher. His primary pitch
throws like 97. He throws harder.
Yes,
he throws way harder than Shane Bieber.
Bieber still throws hard. He still throws a fastball.
He does a 94-mile-an-hour fastball.
That's but it's 4 miles an hour slower. It's
94 to 97, 98 is a huge difference. Glasnow can get up to 99.
I thought we were talking about like Jay Happ, who was like a 90-mile-an-hour fastball. That's what I'm referring to.
Wait,
that's not hard.
Okay, yeah, that's not hard. But 94 isn't that hard as well. When you get up to upper 90s, that's when it just.
I think the Yankees hitters can sit fastball, and if they see a curveball, just lay it off.
I mean, that's the name of the game.
Glasnow does not throw it for strikes. He throws it in the dirt because it has such a high arc. You really can't get it in the zone as often.
And it's hard to see. He goes straight over the top, and he's nasty.
I'm not acting like it's easy because trust me, I strike out 100 out of 100 times against Tyler Glasnow.
We all. But yes, I just think that overall, we're coming up to our final statements. It looks like we got 2 minutes left in our show.
And Ethan's getting a lot of texts, so he's got to reply to all of them, clearly.
Wrapping up. Coming up on our final statements, I just think this is going to be it's going to be a great series. Regardless, I think winner of this ends up taking the AL and heads to the World Series. I can agree with that. I think no team matches up. And listen, if the Yankees win, which we have a lot of these debates where we won't be surprised if I'm right or you're right, like either way.
This is one of them.
It's really realistic, all of them, because I'm a New York Mets fan, obviously, if you've listened to the podcast before, and I root for New York baseball. I'm going to be rooting for the Yankees, but realistically, I think my prediction is the Tampa Bay Rays win this. I think they're the best team in the Yankees.
I'm shocked.
In inner part, I just don't like Yankee fans.
I know so many Mets fans who are rooting for the Yankees.
I've always rooted for the Yankees internally.
Really?
Yes, I like when New York succeeds because it doesn't happen a lot. But realistically,
I couldn't root for the Jets. Like I hate.
Not the Jets. But also, the Jets just don't get to that opportunity anyway. So,
one more final statement from me.
Yeah,
I'm giving you credit for the Reds saying they're not going to make it far. That offense was abysmal, and you called it. They didn't score a single run.
Thank you.
Off Braves pitching. So
they were not good.
Pitching was nasty. Castillo was nasty.
I told you that the Braves
Bauer was nasty.
Oh, you're right. You're right about that.
Zero runs in 22 innings. The Reds should be ashamed of themselves. That's not
awful.
Acceptable.
Terrible.
I don't care who you're facing. You have to score a run.
Yeah. Okay, but final statements. I'm gonna go with the Tampa Bay Rays as winning this series and moving on. But if the Yankees win, I also won't be surprised. And I also hope they face the Astros and beat up the Astros because that would be also a lot of fun. But Jeremy, final statements regarding this ALDS series as you rejected the call.
I think the Yankees win in 5. Garrett Cole will pitch on short rest in Game 5 and secure the win. I also have Davy Garcia, down in a 1-2 hole. The Yankees coming up clutch and making a really good start, and then they pass the torch back to Cole. But obviously, again, series to go either way. But I'm confident in my favorite team, the New York Yankees, to pull this one out, and then hopefully they'll make the World Series after that. But this is a great episode.
I think the Rays are going to have to go 4 games. I don't think they could get to game 5 and win.
It's not good. No sweeps.
Yeah.
0. We can agree on that. No sweeps.
All right. But thank you for listening to our first episode on vic.org. You can catch this episode also on Spotify and YouTube. Once again, thank you for listening. This is Ethan Birch and Jeremy Goldstein, and have a good weekend.